Hello, I'm Channa Bankapur. I'm a trainer in GoMaster.in. So today's problem in September LeetCoding challenge is out a few minutes back. Let's solve that. So the problem goes this way. There is a little story around it. So there is a hero called Teemo. Teemo attacks Ash and Ash gets poisoned for some duration. And Teemo attacks multiple times. We need to find for how long Ash was poisoned, the total time. Right. Let's take a simple example and try to understand. So we have the first example, which is very simple. So at time 0, there is nothing happening. At time instant 1, uh, Timo attacks Ash, and then that effect is going to be there until beginning of 3, right? And then at time instant 4 again, Ash is being attacked, and then Ash is poisoned until 6th unit of time. So the total duration is going to be 2 plus 2, which is 4, right? It's very simple, right? Let's take second example, which at least covers one key point. So at time 0, there is nothing. And at time 1, Ash is being poisoned. So from 1 to beginning of 3 is going to be poisoned. And at time 2, Ash is again poisoned and it goes till say unit of 4, right? So the total duration Ash was poisoned is not 4, it is only 3 because there is an overlapping period. So when there is overlapping, you just consider that as Ash being poisoned. There is nothing called double poisoning or something, right? So that is the scenario here. Let me take a little more elaborative example to cover the kind of cases I wanted to cover. So I have an example here. So the first time unit is going to be 20, and then 23, and maybe 25, and then 31, and after that it's going to be 50, then 60, and then 90. So I have some few times, and duration of each of the poisoning period is going to be 10 units of time, right? Let me start that time here. So I'm going to need, maybe it will go up to 100 units. So at 0, nothing is happening. At 20, Ash is being poisoned, and poisoning period goes up to 30, right? Now at 23, Ash is again being poisoned, and then that goes till 33. So there is already overlapping period here. So the total amount of poisoning period so far is only 13, right? 1, 3. And at 25, for up to 35, Ash is being poisoned. So we added just 2 more extra seconds to the total poisoning period, right? And then at 31, is it 31? Right, yeah, 31, Ash is being poisoned, and then that effect is going to go till 41. All right. And then at 50, we poisoning starts again and then goes up to 60. And at sharp 60 again, poisoning starts and go to 70. So here there is no gap in between these two intervals, and also there is no overlapping there. So the duration 10 means it ends just before or at 60, and at 60 the next duration starts, right? That's why the total duration of this part is actually 20. So from 90 to 100, there is another 10. So I just wanted to cover some cases here. So how do we compute the overall time here? This is actually a special case of a little more generic problem, which is if you have a bunch of time intervals where we need to find the intersection of those intervals, right? So the total time at which, some meeting room or something is engaged, right? So that's what actually we need to find here. But this is a special case or a simpler case of that problem where the duration is not variable, it's always fixed, right? That makes it a little simpler in a way, right? For some reason. So now let's see how do we solve something like this, right? And one thing, in the problem they are already given this array in ascending order, so that we don't have to worry. It's kind of sorted based on the starting time. Ending time can always be computed from here, right? This plus 10 is going to be ending time, which is the duration of the period. So how do we solve something like this? Let's try to just solve the example we have at hand, and that should give a good light for that. So the total time for which we are Ash is being poisoned is something like this one. So I'm going to write that in the bottom right corner. That is the final answer. Or maybe I'll just keep adding the numbers. So I'll start with that number here. So which is 0 in the beginning, right? So something I need to add. So at instant of 20, at time instant 20, ash is being poisoned, and we see that that's going to last up to 30. So that adds 10 units of time, right? Now, the next one starts at 23 and it lasts as 33. But 33 minus 23 is 10. I should not be adding 10. The reason is there is an overlapping. So how do we get rid of that overlapping part? So to do that, we need to figure out, instead of saying 33 minus 23, I should be doing 33 minus 30, right? So how did that 30 come? That is the ending time of the last interval, right? Last interval we are considering. So essentially what I'm trying to do there is 33 minus max of 23 and 30. So this 23 is the start of the current interval and 33 is the end of the current interval, but 30 is the end of the last interval. So this is going to be 3. So I'm going to add 3 to this, to the answer. So now the last interval ends at 33 is what I'm going to remember. Now the next interval starts at 25. So that's going to end at 35. So 35 max of 35 minus max of uh, 25 comma 33. So this is also something lesser than 10, which is I think only 2. So I'm going to add 2 to this. Again, the time interval at which the current one ends is going to be 35. The next one starts at 31. That's going to end at 41. 41 minus max of 31 comma 35, which is only 6. So I'm going to add 6, right? Now 41 is the ending of last time interval. So the next one starts at 50, that ends at 60. 60 minus max of 50 comma 41. This case, the last ending period is not useful because that was already ended before this one started in a way. So that is taken care by this max. So this is going to be plus 10. Similarly, 60 is the ending time of the current one, or the previous one anyway. So the next one starts at 60 and ends at 70. 70 minus max of 60 comma 60. In this case, both of them are same. Still the answer is 10. So this kind of indicates that there is no gap in between, right? So the next one, so we end at 70 here, and the next one starts at 90 and ends at 100. So 100 minus max of 90 comma 70, so which is 90 again. So that's why that is again plus 10. So if we add up all of these things, it's going to be 15, 21 plus 30 is going to be 51, right? That should be the answer, right? So let's code this idea and let's try for this example. It should be clear, right? Let's go for coding. Okay, I think I already coded. Let me just quickly explain that part. So the total time is going to be, this is the answer we are expecting. So I'm going to initialize that to 0. And the last poison lasts till, right? So that is the ending of the last poisoning period is 0 to start with. So for every starting time, anyway, they are sorted in ascending order of the starting time. So I'm just iterating over each of them. So for every start time, the total time is going to be incremented by the end of the current duration, which is start plus duration, right? Duration is here, minus, I could have done just start, but because we need to get rid of that, overlapping period. So I'm going to take max of starting of current period and ending of the last period, which is last poison, last till, right? So this is what I'm going to get. So this will add appropriate number as we saw in that example. And now I'm going to update that last poison, last till time, which is going to be the ending of the current duration, right? So which is going to be start plus duration. And that way I'm going to go through each of them. So finally, total time is going to be the answer, right? Look at this. It's so simple and also probably the most optimal solution because it just runs for the number of time intervals we have, and that is kind of the lower bound for this problem. That means we cannot get an algorithm which runs faster than big O of n, where n being this number, right? Which is the size of the time series vector. All right. It doesn't matter how much duration is there, or as in this number doesn't matter for this example in terms of time complexity. We just have to make sure we don't overflow, and that's also fine because 10 power 7 plus, even if you have another 10 power 7, that's not going to be more than an int size, so it's okay. So let's see whether it runs for the example they have given. So it works. Let's try for the example I am trying out. which looks like this. Start at 20, and then 23, and then 25, and 31, and then 50, and 60, and 90. Right? So the duration is going to be 10. So the answer should be 51, as we saw in the example. So 51, it is correct. Let's submit this. It is accepted. Right? If you see the running time, let's quickly see the running time. I think I ran earlier. Let me refresh this page. Okay, it's taking some time. Yeah, so 60 milliseconds is pretty fast actually. Maybe if I just see this result, they also show that where do we stand? Okay, we are pretty fast. So this is probably one of the fastest implementation, and asymptotically this is a tight lower bound. All right. So that's it, folks. Happy coding. Try to code at least one problem a day. That will keep you healthy. All right. See you. Have a nice time.